What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. The Eagles, they are 4-0. That is the bigger picture here. That is the bigger picture here. I just want to state that right now. Your Philadelphia Eagles are 4-0 to start the year after surviving this game, finding a way to beat the Washington Commanders 34-31 in overtime. Jake Elliott, bless him for, all the clutch field goals in the world. Reed Blankenship's arm for keeping the Washington receiver basically out of bounds, because if Reed Blankenship's arm wasn't there, that would have been an inbound play. It would have been a first down. Who knows? Washington probably would have went back down the field and scored. So, yeah. Bigger picture here, you're 4-0. That's the most important thing. You work out the kinks as the weeks go along. But this game entirely, holy shit, I did not like it. I did not like it one bit. There were a lot of things I did like, but there were a lot of things I didn't. A lot of things I didn't. And I think I'm going to harp, or actually, let me get to the positives first of what I've liked from this game. Because there definitely was some things that I liked. I thought overall this week was Jalen Hurts' best week throwing the football. Made some nice dimes during the game, had some beautiful passes to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, getting some clutch third downs there. I thought Jalen Hurts played his best game, but there's still some things that worry right now about him, just because he just looks a couple steps off still. That's just me, but when I see him trying to run the ball, he just looks a little bit afraid. He looks a little bit afraid to run the ball. He looks a couple steps slower. I'm not sure if that's, the effects from the ankle surgery that he had in the offseason, or this is a certain type of thing from the front office telling Jalen Hurts that, hey, man, we paid you the big bucks this offseason. You're going to be getting that new contract next season, and we don't want you taking unnecessary hits. We don't want you getting injured, so you're going to have to run less. And if you do start the run, you're going to have to get down the first chance you get. So maybe that could be a correlation to this entire thing, but Jalen Hurts just looks a couple steps slow when he's trying to run the football. And some of the play calling looked, even though fully the play calling there, at the end of the game, the play calling was shit. It was shit at the end of the game, in my honest opinion. In my honest opinion, the play calling at the end of the game was shit. But back to the positives. A.J. Brown had a fantastic game. Offensive line, you had your good moments. Defensive line, you got your moments when you got your sacks. I thought the defensive line was the best thing about today, but, of course, with the secondary being as injured as it is, it got torched today. It got very torched. I'm not sure what the play calling today was from Sean Desai, because especially when you're going down into that end of the fourth quarter, when you get the touchdown to take the lead, and I do honestly have my issues with that touchdown as well. Like, I don't mind putting touchdowns on the board. I mind in that situation, in my honest opinion. I do. And honestly, yes, let me go to the negatives, because I feel like the negatives are the most important thing to talk about today. I really feel like they do. You found a way to win. You found a way to squeak one. You found a way to take the lead. And you should have won this game in regulation. You should not have gone to overtime. You should have not gone to overtime. But I'll give this defense credit for, stopping Washington on certain drives to give yourself the lead. I'll credit this offense for stepping up in certain moments. But I think overall, it's still a sloppy mess. This was the worst, performance I've seen from Sean Desai in the defense this year. Very bad. They made Sam Howell look way better than he actually is, because I don't think Sam Howell is actually that good. I don't think he's that good, in my honest opinion. They made him look like Tom Brady out there. They made him look like Patrick Mahomes, in my honest opinion. So when you get towards the end of the game, Jalen Hurts with that dime of a pass to A.J. Brown in the final minute and a half of the game. It was an electric moment. It really was. But then A.J. Brown, of course, gets called for the taunting penalty. And that yardage gets, penalized on your kickoff attempt, which probably even implicated more on that final drive by Washington. And also, bottom line, the refereeing in this game was absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. Certain situations throughout the game, earlier in the game when the Eagles are trying to convert, I believe it was a fourth down, and the Eagles get called for offside Landon Dickerson because it looked like his hand was just a little bit, past the ball there. And when you can clearly see the nose tackle for Washington, his hand was literally under the football. His helmet was touching Kelce's. But yeah, somehow the Eagles get the offsides penalty there. Somehow. and that turned into a punt situation. And then the terrible PI calls, that one on James Bradbury, I believe, or was Darius Slay, that should have turned into a 4th down for Washington. Some plays that just kept it going. Ridiculous. That one hit that Edmonds did on Howell when he wasn't even out of bounds, he was still in bounds when he made the hit. Like, seriously, what is Edmonds supposed to do in that situation? That's a clean hit. It's a clean hit. What is he supposed to do there? Just stop? Somehow stop and find a way to not hit Howell as he's trying to reach over to get the first down? Like, what is Edmonds supposed to do? And then, just from the Eagles standpoint, the refereeing had an impact on the game. It definitely did. But I felt like you put yourself in a very bad situation, too, with how poor your defense played and how just the mind-boggling play calling that I saw at the end of the game, because it was garbage. Garbage. So, at the beginning of the game, when I believe, Washington's going for their second touchdown, Edmonds, you find a way to tip the pass from Howell. Edmonds needs to come up with that ball. It goes off his hands, lands on the ground. It comes an incomplete pass. Should be an interception and a touchback. Should have been an interception by Edmonds there. He needs to catch that ball. And, of course, the very next play, they fumble it going into the end zone, but you're not able to recover that. They do, and that turns into a touchdown. So, when you were able to possibly make a turnover in that situation, you didn't, and Washington made you pay for it when you weren't able to come up with the interception. It was, and I want to go to that end of the game because it really bothered me. There were a couple of things where the offense went, stalled out. They went 3 and outs and everything like that. And there was a certain part of the game where I thought you could have put it out of reach. When it was a 3-point game, you could have got the touchdown and you could have made it a 2-score game. Instead, you made it a 1-score game. It was exactly a 1-touchdown game. And you're doing all this stupid crap in the end zone where you're forcing these passes, you're trying to take shots into the end zone, you're completely disengaging on the running game for some reason. DeAndre Swift, I don't know why Brian Johnson just decides to let this guy hide in certain parts of the game, like he tries to hide him. I don't know why. Why go away from DeAndre Swift when some points when you get closer to the goal line, it gets very successful for you and you can get some important yardage. Instead, it turns into Jalen Hurts almost taking a sack, and then Jalen Hurts, for some reason, trying to run up the middle, and, an incomplete pass where A.J. Brown couldn't come down with the catch. I don't get the play calling in certain situations. And then when you're going down, and then, of course, that very next drive, Washington did score to tie the game. But then, of course, I'll give credit to the offense, actually, when Washington tied the game, your offense stalled, but then your defense held suit and found a way to turn the ball back over. And then your offense, you're in perfect field position, very low time left into the game. Just go down, waste the clock, kick a field goal. Waste the clock. Don't give them any time left to think that they can go down the field. Okay, Jalen Hurts made a beautiful pass to A.J. Brown. He did. The pass was beautiful. The play was beautiful. But then you get the stupid taunt penalty. You get the penalty yardage that it's added onto the kick, which implicated it more. You give up a fucking 3rd and 17 for Christ's sakes. You let them make it 4th and 2 where they're allowed to convert it. And then they keep going back down the field. How many times in those last 2 drives for Washington, one of those drives where they scored the touchdown late in the game, well, not late in the game, they scored a touchdown to tie it, and then the one that tied in the late in the game. It's, I know they kept saying tied and all that stuff, but, those 2 touchdowns by Washington in the 4th quarter. That's what I'm trying to say. How many times did the Eagles fail to stop them on 3rd down? A lot. It felt like they were just constantly converting, especially when you got them in the 3rd and long situations. You try to get pressure on Howell. He scrambles out, like, seriously. He tries to get all this yardage back. You leave a wide receiver wide open because you're playing lackadaisical. You're trying to play prevent defense, and you're allowing them to get this chunk yardage downfield. It's just ridiculous. You let them convert that 3rd and 17 to make it a 4 and 2, so it's 4th and manageable. They converted, of course. And For some reason, there was a situation where maybe, and this was actually not during the last drive of the game, this just, comes from the questionable calling from the coaching staff, where you accept when they had a penalty, I believe, it was, a fourth down situation, they were offsides, or I believe, or something like that, you could have forced them to punt, but then you allowed them to convert because you accepted the play call, or you accepted the penalty. There were a lot of things that were going on in this game that I did not like, It was that, even though that pass from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown at the end of the game was beautiful, it should not have happened because you should have just went down. You should have just drained the clock. You should have just got some first down yardage by utilizing DeAndre Swift, and you kick the field goal with Jake Elliott, and you win the game. No, because now, for some reason, Sam Howell goes into a 2-minute drill, and for some reason, after a huge sack, after a huge sack by Morrow, and Morrow had a career game, 3 sacks. He gets a huge sack to make it 3rd and 17. You allow it to be 4th and 2 because for some reason you left the guy wide open right near the line, not the line of scrimmage, the first down marker. And then you allow them to convert it. They keep converting every time you get to the 3rd down position. And then they eventually, because of course, with 5 seconds left, they make a play. The receiver drops the pass, and of course, it was enough time on the clock before the clock ran out. There was like 1 second, 2 seconds left on the clock. And of course, with no time left, you can't get pressure on Howell. He gets the ball out quickly, and it's a touchdown at a tie game. And yeah, also, you could probably say it for the Commanders' side is their coaching staff being a bunch of bitches for not going for 2 there to try to win the game. They just go for 1, and they kick the field goal to tie it. So is Washington in the wrong there as well? Why not try to go for the win? Instead, you go to overtime. Washington gets the ball first. I'll credit your defense. You get stops, which was very well, and also credit the Reed Blankenship's arm for helping that Washington commander get out of bounds. Because if his arm's not there in that position, oh boy, that's inbounds. That is inbounds. And then you allow them to punt it. You go down the field. But then this is where the play calling gets insanely stupid. Again, when you're in prime position for the field goal, let's take shots at the end zone. Then Jalen Hurts takes an unnecessary sack. You get an unnecessary penalty. And the penalties were all over the place for the Eagles today. They were very, very undisciplined. Regardless of how poorly you thought the refs were today, and they sucked on both sides. They sucked. You put yourself in terrible situations, but we keep trying to air it to A.J. Brown in the end zone. We keep trying to air it here, and then the stupid intentional grounding. I have no idea what that it was. I've never seen that be called intentional grounding in my life. That takes you out of field goal range, but then you get a nice pass to Devontae Smith, which brings you back into nice position for Jake Elliott, and thank God he hit the field goal. Because honestly, with the vibes that were going on with that game today, I honestly thought he was going to miss it. And just going down through that entire drive at the end of the game, before overtime even started, I'm just saying to myself, did they give him too much time on the clock? Because with the way this game has been going, they're probably going to go back down the field. You give him way too much time on the clock, in my honest opinion. And I just thought to myself that entire drive, and of course, they proved me right. Regardless of how beautiful that play but from AJ and Jalen Hurts was. And yes, it does look like the A.J. Brown and the Jalen Hurts connection is back from this game. So that's good to see as the weeks progress. But Brian Johnson's play calling once again in key situations goes down the garbage. And Sean Desai in the defense today, I don't care how banged up you were, you gave up a 3rd and fucking 17 in a crucial part of the game. I don't care if you're trying to play prevent defense. You're allowing them to get all this chunk yardage in a 2-minute drill. You can't be doing that. It was nice to see Hassan Reddick finally show up today with the sacks. You sacked Howell 5 times. But it just still, once again, teams go into the week. The one way to beat this Eagles defensive front is you got to get the ball out quickly. And their offensive line, for the most part, did enough jobs in certain points. But I just didn't like the way that game was. I'm sorry. I'm very happy with being 4-0. I hate sounding like this. I do. But that game was fucking brutal. In my honest opinion, you deserve to lose that game. And hey, you came out on top. The game you deserved to lose, you found a way to win. So yeah, there should be positives from that. The defensive front I still thought had a good game overall today. Jalen Hurts, I thought this was his best game of the season. A.J. Brown had a fantastic game. The wide receivers were fantastic, in my opinion. Devontae Smith had an amazing catch in, I believe it was the third quarter or the second quarter. So I thought that, yeah, I thought offensively this was one of your best games of the season. But it still could have been more. It still could have been more. That's what I'm trying to say. It could have been more. When you get down into the red zone, when you have a chance to make it a 2-score game, you just make terrible play calls. You're trying to run right up the middle with an RPO with Jalen Hurts. It just doesn't work. You get snuffed out easily. He gets stopped right there. And then you're just trying to force stuff. And then for some reason, you're removing DeAndre Swift from the game when he's been huge for you the past 2 weeks. It just felt like he got away from that. And yes, Jalen Hurts threw some dimes today. He definitely did. Had a huge pass, on a third down situation in overtime. So that was huge. But then the play calling just got terrible. Again. And then, yeah, that stupid, intentional grounding penalty, which shouldn't have been called. But that's just the refs being terrible today. You can't avoid that. It's NFL referees. They're going to be bad. They're going to be bad. It's an ugly win. It's an ugly win. Divisional games, yeah, I know many things can happen when you're playing the division rival. It can. But for it to look like that, it's just unacceptable in my opinion. It's unacceptable to look like that defensively, that terrible play calling offensively. And yes, you firmly did not have to go to overtime if you just drain the clock and kick the field goal in the fourth quarter. I know I sound like an asshole saying that, but it's true. It's true. All you needed to do was drain the clock and kick the game-winning field goal. That's all you needed to do. They had one timeout left. Seriously, that's all you needed to do. As beautiful as the pass from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown was, it turned into repercussions because A.J. Brown got a stupid taunting penalty, and it all led to that final drive by Washington. It can happen. It can happen. I don't care how much you're feeling it. When you're in that situation, you just go down the field, you drain the clock, you kick the field goal. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. But then you got to say to Deshaun Desai, you can't be giving up 3rd and 17s to make it 4th and manageable. You can't be doing that. You can't. That's unacceptable. That last drive by Washington, embarrassing. It's pathetic that you allowed that to happen. It's a joke. How you allowed Sam Howell to get the ball out that quickly to find that big of a chunk yard on a 3rd and 17 play. Seriously, getting more than 10 yards on that play is embarrassing in itself. It is. It is. I don't care if you're playing fucking prevent defense. You prevented basically nothing there. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. If we look at the stats of this game, like I said, Jalen Hurts, overall, this was his best offensive game throwing the ball this year so far in the first 4 weeks. 25 of 37, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, 112 rating. He was very good today, but still I thought with the running game specifically from Hurts, it just felt off. It just felt off. And yes, there were some situations where he held the ball in the pocket a little too long, took a little too long to get the ball away. That's, maybe things that's going to kink out as the weeks go along, or there's something more that we're not being told. Is there still a lingering issue with Hurts and the ankle surgery that he had in the offseason? Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there. Or it's the fact that the front office doesn't want Jalen taking unnecessary hits. That could also be a reason, especially since they paid him the big bucks. DeAndre Swift, 14 carries for 56 yards. I just felt like Brian Johnson just completely went away from Swift. Gainwell had 4 carries for 14 yards. A.J. Brown, a fantastic game, 9 receptions for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns there. Had that brilliant play in the third quarter where he catches the ball on the left side of the field, finds a way to get that open yardage, gets a nice block. I believe it was Devontae Smith that was helping him in that situation, and he finds it in the end zone. A.J. Brown had his best game of the year, and it feels like he's getting better week after week. Excuse me there, boys. Haven't sneezed in a while. Haven't sneezed in a while on stream. I guess we were due for that. I guess we were overdue for that. Devontae Smith, 7 receptions for 78 yards. Had that huge catch halfway through the game. Dallas Goedert, I still feel like he's not being utilized enough. 2 catches for 25 yards. He was only targeted 4 times. DeAndre Swift had some yardage on the receptions, though. 4 catches for 23 yards. Zacchaeus had that huge catch in overtime, which allowed you to convert a 3rd down. So that was huge. Defensively, Cunningham had some solo tackles. He had 9 there in the game. Morrow had a fantastic game. 3 sacks there. Who else? Reed Blankenship, I thought, made some nice tackles. He basically just a very solid game overall for Reed Blankenship. What else? James Bradbury got torched on some plays. Fletcher Cox looked solid. The defensive line looked solid. Hassan Reddick got a sack. Not much of an impact from Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis today. So I guess the offensive line for Washington found a way to do something there. And yeah, that's basically it. Just overall, it's just look at the penalties today. Look at the penalties. If I could find those. Because you had 11 penalties and you lost 80 yards because you gave up 80 yards because of it. Washington had 7. They only gave up 41. And that's just bad. That's just bad. I don't care how bad the refs were. You can't be taking 11 penalties. You can't be. Oh, boy. Jesus. It was just that bad. It was that bad. My God. My God. Let's see what else. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here on. Trying to see. Don't think there is. So basically, if we're looking at next week, you're going on the road for 2 straight weeks. You play the Rams in Los Angeles, and then you play the Jets the following week on the road. So you got 2 road games there, a home game against the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football, another road game against the Commanders, and then a home game against the Cowboys. So yeah, next week's going to be tough. Did the Rams win the game that they played today? I feel like the game they played was very close. I feel like it was very, 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 very close. Yeah, they did win. They found a way to beat the Colts in overtime. So they found a way to win. I believe they're 2-2 on the year, if I'm not mistaken. I think Matt Stafford got banged up in this game, so who knows? They got weapons there, though. They got weapons. They still got Aaron Donald. They got some nice, even though Cooper Kupp's still injured. I'm not sure if he's going to be back for the Eagles game. I'm not sure. We'll definitely find out as the weeks go along. But that's going to be tough, especially for your secondary that's still banged up. And say if Cooper Kupp does come back, oh boy, I'm terrified. I am very terrified. And that offensive front's going to have a lot of work to deal with Aaron Donald. So that's going to be a tough matchup. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I just hate the way this game looked. I really did. I really just hated the way it looked. And then you're going to have the Jets that following week. It's just ridiculous, man. Looking at some of the scores throughout the week, or throughout the day, well, Dallas definitely bounced back against New England. They're destroying them. San Francisco is actually having a little bit of a tough time with Arizona. It's 28-16, but I'm assuming San Francisco is going to find a way to win that. What else? Jacksonville destroyed Atlanta. Buffalo destroyed Miami. Chicago was beating Denver for a good chunk of that game, and they lost. They lost 31-28. So Chicago tanking of all tanks. Baltimore destroyed Cleveland. Houston destroyed Pittsburgh. Holy shit. Carolina was winning at one point against Minnesota, but then Minnesota found a way to come back and win. Tampa Bay beat New Orleans. Tennessee destroyed Cincinnati. Holy shit. The Bengals got to be really worried. The Bengals once again only scored 3 points. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. Holy shit. Like, we think we have issues as Eagles fans right here, and we're 4-0. The Bengals are 1-3. Or 1-4, actually. So, no, they're 1-3. They're 1-3, not 1-4. 1-3. I don't know why I thought 1-4. Yeah, you're definitely worried if you're a Bengals fan. Because, holy shit, Jesus Christ. But let's go to the Anytime Hotline. Let's see what you guys have to say here. You can leave a voicemail and thoughts at 215-839-9885. Your thoughts and opinions on anything Philly sports related. Tomorrow we're going to have our Phillies preview for the playoff series. Of course, it's against the Miami Marlins, so of course we got to see that stupid-ass team. But we'll get into that more of that tomorrow. You can leave your thoughts for the preview pod tomorrow. So we'll have that basically tomorrow around, I would say around 4 or 5, because I'll be going to the Flyers preseason game tomorrow. So I'll probably do it around the late afternoon. So it'll be up there for you guys. But yeah, let's get to the voicemail here on this Eagles game. So yeah, let's get to Sean. Let's see what Sean has to say.
Oh my God, we have 13 more weeks of this we have to go through. I'm not going to make it. You know, I'd like to sit here and say the obligatory great win, tough performance, et cetera, but I got to admit, I come away from this game really disappointed today, especially in the defense. To let Washington move up and down the field as many times as they did, to make Sam freaking Howell look like Joe Montana in your own stadium is just inexcusable. Very lucky, very fortunate to come away with that game. The only defensive player I'll give any props to today is Nicholas Morrow. That guy played his ass off. Offensively, a lot of mistakes. I thought there was some bad clock management, the taunting penalty by A.J. Brown, but they came through at the end. I have never seen an intentional grounding call like the one that was called in overtime. Totally ridiculous. But the MVP, as usual, for the first 4 games of the year, Jake Elliott, bailing us out again. Very lucky to be 4-0.
I agree, Sean. I agree. Very fortunate. Very, very fortunate. Man, it's Jesus. I don't even know what else to say. I completely agree with Sean there. You're very fortunate to find a way to win that. Offensively, you were very sloppy. The play calling was terrible, especially late in the game. I really thought you should have just drained the clock out and found a way to kick the field goal. Defensively, it was just terrible. You let Washington run up and down on the field on you. They basically were trying to do the same thing they did last year in Philly. Get all the time of possession, keep you away from the ball. They were trying to do all that. Sadly, thankfully, that wasn't the case this week. Your offense was actually able to do more, and Jalen Hurts played a much better game. But, yeah, 4-0, that's all that matters. We got to see how the weeks progress. Yeah, you're still not going to be the best team possible in week 4. You're not. You're definitely not. They're still working out kinks. But there's just still some things that look off, in my opinion. Is that just from Brian Johnson being an inexperienced play caller? I don't know. I really hope it doesn't turn out to be this guy sucks. I really don't. And Sean Desai, I'll give him a little bit of a break just because the first 3 weeks of the year, the defense was really good. So I'll give him a little bit of a break for this week, but that still was very pathetic that you allowed Washington to go up and down on the field on you like that, especially Sam fucking Howell, because Sam fucking Howell's not that good. He really isn't. So, bounce back next week defensively against Los Angeles. There's going to be a lot of Eagles fans in Los Angeles because you know how, LA fans don't go and see the Rams. It's basically just an entire enemy territory in that stadium. So I wouldn't be shocked if, that field is just filled with Eagles fans next week. I would not be shocked whatsoever. It probably will be filled with Eagles fans if I'm not going to be mistaken. It most likely will be. So man. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Gotta move on to next week, though. I guess that's the most important thing. I'll get to you guys in the comment section before we end it off here. Getting around 30 minutes, so getting close to ending it off. Like I said, we're going to have our Phillies preview tomorrow in the late afternoon. Maybe around the 4 or 5 o'clock point, so I'll definitely keep you guys posted. You'll see it on your subscription feed and all that stuff. I know tomorrow I got a funeral to go to in the morning, so definitely just depending on when I get back from that and get situated and all that stuff. Like, tomorrow's going to be a busy day. This week is going to be busy the first couple of days because tomorrow with all that stuff, then Tomorrow night, the Flyers preseason game I'm going to be going to. And then Tuesday, I'm actually going to the game 1, so that'll be fun at least, hopefully. So, but yeah, we'll have our preview tomorrow. All that. So yeah, let me get to you guys in the comment section before I end it off. Austin may not be able to tune in tonight, but I just wanted to stop by and say hello. How you doing, Austin? Great job, Phillies, making it to 90 wins on the season. Yeah, they did win 90 games. They won today. Alec Boehm, nice 20th home run on the year, so that's nice. Eagles just barely making it out of that 4-0 game. Very nice. Looking forward to a very red and also green October this year. Sean, that grounding call was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Sean, I've never seen that in my life. I've never seen it. And some of those PI calls against, Darius Slay and James Bradbury, it was that one call, I believe it was on Slay, where the ball was just not catchable whatsoever, and for some reason they called it PI. I don't know why. The ball was completely way past the receiver. Was going to come, even if he wasn't even touched, he wasn't going to come near close to catching it. It was a complete bad overthrow by Howell. Desai better get it together next week, or McVay and Stafford will light them up like a Christmas tree. Carolina lost again. Good time to see if Chin is available. I do think Howie Roseman's going to find a way to boost his secondary. Eagles secondary is overrated. Well, the secondary is very banged up and injured, so I think that's why they're getting torched. They're very banged up and injured, or if they were healthy, they're very young as well. When you have Nakobe Dean and all that stuff in there, it's probably why you're getting torched so much. American Loyalist, how you doing? Phillies 90 wins, but I am scared of the Marlins because of this team history of losing to them in the fall. Well, we'll get to that tomorrow. We'll focus on that tomorrow. So, yeah. That'll be the focus tomorrow. Phillies preview. That'll be the main focus for tomorrow. So, that'll do it for tonight, everybody. Thank you for joining as always. 4-0. That is the most important thing, but there's still so many fucking kinks this team needs to work on. And maybe that's the benefit of being 4-0. So, hopefully, at least you're 4-0 and going through these issues and not like 1-3 like the Bengals are. So, at least that's the case for you. So, thank you guys for joining today. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new or you're a current member of the channel and recommend it to other people. I would appreciate you for it. I love you guys for that. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Thank you once again for joining tonight.